Hello and welcome to CMPAC Spotlight. As you can see, we have a little bit different setup in here. However, it's the same show where we take you behind the scenes so you can meet some of our producers here at CMPAC and get to know a little bit more about their show and what they're about. And tonight we have remotely joining us Miss Edith Lamb of the Oracle of God. Welcome, Miss Edith.
Thank you very much. It's nice to have me. I'm quite excited.
Yes, well, we're excited too. And as I opened up, I let everybody know your program is called the Oracle of God. So tell us a little bit more about that. Are you the Oracle?
Well, what happened was I got inspiration. This was given to me by inspiration.
Okay.
And very much inspired. And I never thought about what the Oracle of God meant until I was inspired to get this. And when I researched it in the Bible, and I found out that it's out of the mouth of God, what he speaks to us. Mm-hmm. But I had it incorporated. It really is my own. Nobody can take it away from me. I had it incorporated with North Carolina. So it's really my signature, so to speak. This is what I do.
That sounds nice. You know, it reminds me of The Matrix. If people remember The Matrix, the movie, there was an oracle there as well who spoke wisdom, and everyone always went to her to get
out of the
insight.
Mouth of a person.
Yes.
Out of the mouth of, Yes.
Yeah. So after you got inspiration, did you then come to learn about Access 21, or what was the process with you joining up with Access 21 to do your program?
Dawn, it's been 22 years of performance at CMPAC there, and it's been a very teachable organization. I think I learn something every time I walk in that studio.
Wow.
It really is something. And I like doing it, and it's things always changing. You learn things. Mm-hmm. In other words, you keep learning all the time. So it's kind of exciting when you learn something. All at once you learn something, and it never occurred to you that this was going on. But it was awesome how I come into learning that there was a CMPAC.
Okay.
It was awesome, a community service like this. Mm-hmm. It was awesome how I learned about it, because when I first come to Charlotte about 25 years ago, I came from New York, up in Westchester County.
Okay.
And when I had already gotten this vision before I left New York about doing the oracles, and I never knew what I was going to do with it, but I was searching for the right placement to do it.
Okay.
My neighbor, when I moved, I was searching for a place to live, a resident, and I come into a neighborhood where this guy, now I can't remember what his name was, but he had been doing his show down there for 25 years.
Wow.
And just accidentally right in the neighborhood. I don't think it was coincidence. I think it was kind of like a divine appointment stuff, type like that.
Yes, ma'am.
And he told me, said, come on down with me. I was telling him, I said, I have a program I like to do. I said, it's a broadcast, but I don't know where to go with it. So he said, oh, that's what I do. And so he said, come on down, said, and let me introduce you to the air. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, I went down. It was very nice. And then I, began to find out the process of how to get on there myself. And they told me all about the classes. A lot of changes has happened since then, a lot of stuff. But he taught me how, and after I finished taking all the courses and getting the necessary qualifications and all the studies and the practice, and I went down and worked on different shows so I could learn stuff, and how to, be a producer, and how to be I've been in all the different director and all of those classes I took into the rooms like that, to classes to take the various classes.
Right.
A lot of things have changed now, though. But it was very exciting for me. Mm-hmm. And then one day when I finished everything, somebody said to me, said, you can go do your show now if you like. I said, what?
Wow.
Because it was all different to me. It was very different.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing it, and I had various directors. And I think the longest director I had was a person by the name of Charlie. And he was a sweetheart, brilliant. And he worked with me until he left Charlotte. I think he passed away after that. But yes, that's how I come into to learn about community service and community broadcast. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, we love your show and the presentation. And for all who may not know, your format is like ministry and educational. And so how do you come up with your topics?
But most of the time, I'm inspired to do it. Well, you know, I wouldn't give you the name of the college that I went to, the biblical college, and I took the courses from Bible Survey. The Bible Survey, it's called Bible Survey.
Okay.
And Old and New Testament.
Yes, ma'am.
So I took Bible Survey. When I finished it, and they had sent me different paperwork, my work was completed. Well, I didn't want to go on for no degrees because I wanted to get this thing coming from me, my heart. And, you know, it inspired us. When I read stuff, I wanted to be able to get my own revelation.
I understand.
I didn't want anybody telling me what they got. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You don't want a script.
Yeah, I didn't want a script. So that's what I did. And so I used this college material to read through and to research the Bible. And every time you read the Bible, you get this. You always pick up new information. It keeps on giving. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, you think you understood what this was, and when you do it again, you find that you read it again, you find that you get something else from it. So it's sort of like keep repeating itself and it's always teachable. You know, teachable. That's what I like to do. I'm a teachable person.
Like it.
Yeah, and it's good to be teachable because if you're not teachable, you won't be getting a place. You know, it's you know, you have to leave yourself open to learn.
Yes, ma'am. You got hungry for the word and for what you're doing with presenting it on this platform. And I wonder how many people have given you feedback over the years who were hungry for more.
The telephone rang here constantly.
Wow.
My telephone people call. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I invite them to come down and be a guest on the show. And sometimes, you know, many times they come. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But I always, the more you feed, the more come in. You know, the more you're being refilled as you give out. And so a lot of times the telephone rings, I heard you on the television. Oh, I follow you through. I watched you at noontime. I'm going to have you again tonight at 9:30 when you come on. I hear that a lot. And you know, I get various calls. The only thing what happens is 5 o'clock in the morning, someone calls me. I know that's trouble right there.
Right.
Sometimes I do call them more some hours, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
And sometimes they have things they just can't you know, difficulties. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And not me by myself, but the power of the Holy Spirit in me, you know, gives them a little lift. And sometimes I can feel when they are free.
Yes, yes.
Then you can feel the freedom, you know, when after I hit the point that they can't get through, mm-hmm. and I can feel the people's spirits loosen.
Wow.
And they go free.
Powerful.
And then it's time for me to hang up then.
I see what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
That's beautiful. And I love what you said about people call you sometimes during lunchtime and then they tell you they're gonna see you again a little bit later in the day. It sounds like, you know, eating time, practical eating time, and then spiritual eating time as well. So that's interesting.
But there's a possibility that sometimes when people are listening to you, mm-hmm. they miss something. Okay. And if they hear it later on, you know, they listen for that space, at that point where they didn't hear it. Now, a lot of times people don't take exactly what you were saying, but it leads them into where they need to go.
I see. Yeah, it's like,
you know, it leads them into where they're going, and they'll hear your idea.
Yes, ma'am.
And that'll click something inside them.
I see.
And then help them to go, go where they need to go.
Well, I tell you,
Yeah.
Mother, I'm interested to hearing about some life-changing stories that you might be able to share with us based on people calling and giving you feedback and you interacting and praying with them. Is there something you can share with us about
Well,
life-changing stories?
yes, I would like to talk about some people call people of my age, which has mellowed out. They
Okay.
call us wisdom. A lot of times I hear compliments of wisdom. And
Yes.
see, when I'm talking, talking to some, I'm just telling them what I've been through. I'm just telling what life has been. I didn't, didn't understand perfectly that they was trying to get that wisdom. To me, I was just talking and explaining life. I didn't realize that they was looking at it as wisdom. And sometimes when people speak here, they also open your eyes up to who you are. Sometimes you don't recognize who you are, but other people do. And so what I did teach people, and here recently, that I got a email from Christopher, he's from Australia. You know him.
Yeah,
And he was,
Switzerland.
yes, and he wanted understanding and prayers for whatever he was going through with. And sometimes we don't get the full picture, but this is the way I explained to him that you don't get a promotion till you get qualified for it. If God is taking you somewhere, or if there's a great blessing for you, you're gonna, just like people go to college so they can learn to be an electrician, or no, don't go to be an electrician, that's vocational. But sometimes they go to college so they can be a doctor or some kind of teacher or something like that.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have to, so in the spirit realm, in whatever God has blessed you with, and this is what I want to emphasize, everybody got something. Some people find out what's in them sooner, and some find out later. And a lot of times people are looking at what other people are doing, and that's why they forget to find out who they are.
That's important.
So this thing comes in to bring you to yourself. You're going to run into something that is hard to deal with, and you must deal with it. And once you learn to deal with that thing, and encounter it, and when you encounter it and learn, that puts you on a different level altogether. You begin to, because that thing is in the making you who you are.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
finding yourself. And that's what I always, when I'm talking to people, or I always say this, that the thing that you must go through, the things you go through, or you can't be where you like to be.
Makes sense. It does.
And when you discover yourself and find yourself, it's very, very exciting. It really is. You begin to move with authority and assurance. You're not shaky and nervous about everything because you know who you are.
I love it.
Amen.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Amen. Well, you were talking about changes and things that have changed, and here we are in a new setup, a new technical setup, where we're doing things remotely because of this pandemic that has sat upon us for a while.
Yes.
And I just wondered if you have some things that you can share with us about what you've learned during this time, whether it's the technology, of course, that's changed again, and the use of it, some more spiritual things. What is on your heart about what we've been going through?
But what I would like to talk about first is the transition. Maybe I should call it a transformation of learning to use the computer. And this is what I like to say: when God gives you a work to do, this is not talk empty air. I'm getting ready to tell you, when God gives you a work to do, He makes provisions for you in every way. He moves every. I didn't even know I would be able to use a computer to upload things to be aired. I never imagined that, but But I opened the computer up one day and it started. I just felt like I had to come to the computer, and I come to the computer and I said what that camera means because I never used it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hit the camera and I saw myself. I said, "Oh, this is what the Lord was talking to me about."
Yeah.
And then He started all of those things that I hadn't been able to use that I had learned. Then He was telling me what He wanted me to do. That's what I'm doing now. Teach that Bible because I know it.
Mm-hmm.
And all those things I had laid up there, stored up, and hadn't used it. He made me pull it out of had me to pull it out of storage. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am. Your brain and your heart is like a computer. I got you.
Yes, that's working like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Well, that is awesome because I was listening to a program earlier tonight, and it was talking about all the different changes that have come about in our country and then trickled down, of course, to the different communities that are, that make up our country and the different things that we're going to have to start doing in order to help each other and come together. And I know that that's what you promote all the time when you're talking about what God is doing for us and what He is making provisions for. And you say, He called you to do something, He will make provisions, and then He'll remind you of what He told you before, then gets you to a place where you can utilize it. So, I'm thinking that you have a lot more to share in so many different ways, the different platforms that are coming down the pike. And I want to understand what you feel like is the future for you in terms of how you're going to transition to continue to do your show.
I'll tell you, be quite frank with you. If God don't say nothing, I don't say nothing either. If He don't do nothing, I don't do anything. He's always giving me my moods, what I'm supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm all excited because I didn't expect it,
Yes, ma'am.
But what I would like to share, like people are giving programs like that. You see this right here? Can you see that picture there?
Yes, ma'am. Looks like a crown.
Can you see it better now?
If you pull it back just a little bit. I think, there we go, right there. It's a crown, right?
Yeah, it's a crown, and that represents kings of kings.
Okay.
Kings of kings.
Okay.
So it's only a prompt or a symbol. That's all it is. So like when you're making your, you don't see what somebody else doing and do it. Mm-hmm. But when you see somebody else, it should stir up your inner part to realize that there's a vision for you. You know what I'm saying? There's something, whatever show I'm doing or whatever it is, there must be some kind of illustration or demonstration that I could think that is visual as well as audio.
Okay. So
I use these on my show. This one here is another one.
Okay.
I use these on my show to, can you see that?
Yes, ma'am. Victory, beholding Jesus.
This is about Joshua.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, beholding Jesus and Joshua.
Okay.
And so what I do, I pick those symbols out for visual purposes. Okay. And then before I go into the audio part, and sometimes I bring it up again, in between, so you can hold on, keep you connected to what I'm trying, the information or the message I'm trying to bring.
Right.
So everybody don't have the same but you said that one of the I think it was James, you said saw my cross back here when I got up. Yes. You can see it in the back. Let me see if I can lean over. You see it?
The sword. Yes. Dan saw the sword.
The sword, yeah.
Yes.
That's symbolic.
Okay.
You can use things like this is really the room where I do my tapes.
Okay.
My videos. I do my videos right here in this room, in this same spot where I am now.
Very nice.
And so you can use all kind of symbolic things or prompts, to make it more inspirational,
Yes, ma'am.
You're talking, sometimes people don't understand a word you said. Sometimes I talk on a whole hour, nobody heard a word.
They're just looking at you.
But then when I pick up some visual, then it kind of kicks in,
Yeah. Well, that sounds so awesome, and that kind of takes me to the next question when it comes
Okay.
to you putting together your show, and how, of course, you say you have all these props and visuals to help communicate whatever you're saying.
Yes.
And so, how has that evolved over the years that you've been doing the show?
Well, when I first come into the start from the beginning, I was very, what you call it, you ever heard the word green?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
everybody was showing me what I can do and what not. But it wasn't kicking in with me very well. And I know I went down there one day, I put these trees up in the back of it, and that was going to be my set. And I forgot and left the flowers on the tree, like the tree had blooming.
Oh, like the springtime.
Yeah, I just added the flowers to the tree. And it looks, as if the tree was blooming with flowers. That's the appearance it gave. And when I came back, I forgot to take the flowers off, and everybody started using it.
They liked
it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds nice. And it's symbolic of what you're saying in terms of people having something that they have to bring to the table, and they can bloom wherever they are, and as long as they're paying attention to what God is saying to them about who they are and about what's inside of them. It makes sense to me. Yes.
Yeah, we can't bloom symbolic. We can't bloom the beautiful flowers and give off until we become mature, come into that mature stage. We can, a lot of us. When I found myself, it was awesome.
Tell me about that.
That story is really long, but it took a lot of ups and downs and a lot of things that didn't feel too good either.
I understand.
Yes. It really didn't feel. I didn't feel like doing it, but it happened, and then after I got through it, I felt good.
Well, that's lovely.
It's feeling good when you get through.
Yes, get on the other side, right?
On the other side of it, yeah.
Yes. Well, it sounds like a lot of people, like from what you were saying earlier, a lot of people who have called in or they have shared stories with you, life-changing stories with you, and when you feel that they've gotten free from that entanglement that they call about, it sounds like, they can really benefit from that whole experience of going from one side to the other, getting through. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, and a lot of times we don't know what's inside of us until we start digging.
How would you?
We're looking at everybody else doing something, and as you know, a lot of people copycats.
Yes, ma'am.
They'll steal your thunder if they can.
If they can, right?
If they can, but they have something in them that's awesome. And sometimes they don't achieve it as quick because they don't want to go through that thing that don't feel good.
See, and I was going to ask you what you feel like should be the next step for people once they realize that, repeating what somebody else does, a lot of people may want to do what's trending now, whatever that is. And of course, that's, kind of in the sense of copying. What do you advise people to be unique in terms of the next step after you realize, I need to do me. I need to be who I am.
When you start feeling that push that you're in the right spot, you start feeling good, go on into there. Sometimes it don't feel too good, but you go on anyway. And after you get over, you say, oh boy, I wouldn't have been in this place if I hadn't, followed through that little part that didn't feel good to me, that, the little hardship I went through.
Right.
But I want people to know this, that the hardship, the thing that you encounter that's hard to deal with, that's the thing gonna make you.
Wow.
That's the thing gonna make you and take you into another place and another level. That's what it's gonna do.
Well, that's absolutely powerful. And it does definitely sounds like, when we are scraped a little bit in the hardships, then we are polished. We end up seeing that we're polished. We feel scraped and bruised, but it really turns out that we're polished.
Yeah, it really means you get healed up. I believe the Bible. If anybody don't believe the Bible, they can't get this message.
Okay.
But I'm reading the Bible right now about how that every time the leaders went off and did what they wanted to do, instead of obeying what God, the statutes of the Lord, every time they went off and did what they wanted to do, pestilence, famine, and all kind of things come into the land.
Wow.
And that's why when I'm looking at this current pandemic going on now, I see famines going on. I see pestilence. It's just a mixture of turmoil. But it's not the fear. Just stand. If you stand in the will of the Lord, all these things will go right around you.
Yes.
Because God got a magnificent, or should I say not a magical, a miracle.
Miracle.
He can, things right could be going wrong into your midst and you are yet not disturbed by it.
Right. Right. Peace.
And, but these times are not pleasant. Everybody know it.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe these are the times that the Lord wants us to call quiet times.
Wow. Yes.
You know, you got to be quiet now if you don't want that COVID virus.
Right. you got to obey.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just touching with what you're saying, you have to obey spiritual and natural laws.
Yeah. Yeah, and this here that's going on now gives you a quiet spot to find yourself.
That's good. That's real good.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot to take away with and go away with after this conversation. And I feel like I've been a guest on your show, or at least, right there in the midst of what you are constantly doing whenever you are on your platform and you are sharing with everyone who is able to see you. But of course, we have run out of time for this episode featuring you. And I just thank you. I've always told you remind me of Miss Cicely Tyson, who is, yes, she gave us great things on this earth, and so are you. And we appreciate you so much. You are wisdom, the oracle.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And I'll talk to you again soon, okay?
All right.
All right. And everyone, we want to thank you so much for joining us for this episode, this remote episode of CMPAC Spotlight. You can constantly tune in to see all the programs, including the Oracle of God, right here on Access 21. And we look forward to seeing you the next time. Have a good one.